With only a few months left now to prepare, how will the pension changes affect employers and employees?
I think this is a really interesting area because there's still quite a lot of thinking that's going on with certainly with employers on this. I think the first issue to address is the new flexibility of the pension changes means there's lots more choice, and of course much more choice often creates confusion and complexity, and employees need to find their way through that. So the first question really is making sure employees understand what are all the options generically and what are the advantages and disadvantages of those options. I think the next key point is employers understanding how they're going to support staff in that. So are they going to change their occupational arrangement to allow some of that flexibility to happen within the scheme? So for example, are they going to allow employees to draw down money as they wish from that scheme, or are they going to outsource that to some service provider? Now, certainly from the conversations I've had with a number of companies over the last few weeks, I think it is definitely going to be the latter. I don't think too many companies will be changing their occupational scheme, particularly when you think about the cost. You think they may have a large amount of deferred members, so they are likely to want to get a service provider in that can help them through this new regulatory change. And I think that's to help them in three key areas, because there's three key questions that need to be asked here. The first one is, okay, so what are these changes, and do my employees understand what the changes are? Do they understand the advantages and disadvantages of the options? And of course, financial education is key in getting that understanding across. The second one is, okay, as an employee, I've been through that education, I understand what those options are, but I now need to work out what's right for me. And to work out what's right for me, I may need to consider other assets that I hold. I may need to consider my partner and what he or she may have, and how we will coordinate our retirement. And so that may need one-on-one guidance. It may need regulated advice. And then the third element is, once I've worked through that, is, okay, how do I effectively execute on that? And of course, it may not be a single decision. For a lot of people under the new rules, they will be making a series of decisions through retirement. So it's making sure there is access to a full market of options effectively, and not, as we've seen in the past, restrictions where, for example, some employers have put in arrangements with annuity providers, for example, and with hindsight we know that may not have been the best idea, but when you stand back from that, you've got to think, well, why was it just an annuity provider? Because drawdown has existed for a long time, so why wasn't there provision there? And I think there's been a bit of a lesson learned from that. So I think going forward, it will be important to make sure that employees have access to all options, and there's no, if you like, inherent bias within that. And I think the other point that's worth mentioning with the regulatory change, of course, is this option that some people that are in final salary may indeed want to transfer to DC so they can access the money under the new rules. Now, whilst this is likely to be a small amount of people that it's a right thing for them to do, of course, one of the conditions around that is that these individuals must receive regulated advice. So I think that's another angle in terms of the service provision that companies may want to think about in terms of how they're going to deal with that and where they're going to pass people.